Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner, Classic/Non-Classic, episode number 1087, Doubleshot number 981. Like I said in my last video that you probably see a little bit for this one, one Marvel trade, one DC trade. The one Marvel trade I have is the final trade for this particular series, Jean Grey, Volume 2, Final Fight. This collects issues 7 through 11 of the Jean Grey ongoing series. Surprisingly enough, they did not throw in the Generations one-shot in this trade, which I'm like, that's weird. Why would you not throw it in? You did for Thor. I think they did for Miss Marvel for her trade. And when I saw Wolverine did it, that one did it as well. But not Jean Grey, the one that had the two actual Jean Greys meet. This particular storyline in here is mostly put like first. Now, all the characters seen here in this cover, yeah, with the exception, the only people who don't appear, like pretty much about half the characters appear in this cover do appear in these issues. The other people who don't are Doctor Strange, the male Thor, Psylocke, and Namor. Oh, in case you're wondering about the Scarlet Witch's attire, you see here. If you haven't read the Scarlet Witch ongoing Super James Robinson, I highly recommend checking it out. It's really good. That's where this Alpha made his debut. And her series has been over for about a couple of years now. And I think it was kind of done the Marvel ended that series after 15 issues. No, I haven't got the final trade for it yet. I'm playing it soon. Simply put, she's still trying to prepare for Return to the Phoenix. And she also works to go into entire magic appears in these issues. And then something weird happens. Like, she goes and basically, like, the Ghost Jean Grey popped up at the end of the previous trade, goes and attacks Emma Frost because of their past history. Though I should point out, Jean Grey is actually wearing the attire she wore when she died at the end of Grant Morrison's run, well, during the second last arc of his run for New X-Men. And about this particular set of issues is that it's sort of basically revisiting the Grant Morrison era. Yeah. Though we revisit stuff like Riley Xavier's, yeah, that's revisited here. Yeah, a storyline that's been referenced several times over the years. Like, yes, it happened. Stop mentioning it. I mean, people do know it happened. I don't mind it's mentioned. I mean, last time I think it was mentioned was actually at the start of Wolverine the X-Men. And then we have reference to Planet X. Yeah, at the start of that was, oh yeah, Zora's Magneto all along, even though that was later retconned after Grant Morrison left. That was not Magneto. That was Zorn posing as Magneto due to how out of character he was in that awful storyline. Yep. And then, of course, we have stuff leading. Of course, she also has a revisit with Magic, where she's in her demon form, and then she's in her like AVX outfit. Yeah. And go to the present day. And then we have like a tie-in to Phoenix Resurrection. Yeah, it was mentioned in a storyline that all the sidekicks basically went missing. This series actually explains what the heck they were up to. Yeah, apparently all the sidekicks, with the exception of Cable and Rachel Summer, actually, with the exception of Cable, yeah, he's actually, believe it, people mostly forget he's a low-level telepath, and he apparently was the only telepath available. Everybody else basically was in this book. Yeah, and then this book ends basically with Jean Grey confronting her older self. Which is not the first time she's met her older self, the actual one. Yeah, she also met her own one-shot, which it is quite something that Marvel decided not to put that in trade. Maybe because the one-shot was not written by Dennis Hopeless, who was writing these issues, written by Colin Bunn, but it was a damn good one-shot. I am planning to get in Generations trade soon. And we also have, in case you're wondering, who does the artwork for these issues? Yes. For most of these issues, for 7 and 10 to 11, it's Alberto Albuquerque. For issues 8 through 9, and of course 11 is done by two different artists, it's Victor Ebezaza. I gotta say, great issues. Love them. Give this book a 9.5 out of 10. Final thoughts on the series. It's a short-lived series, and I kind of wish actually it lasted a bit longer because also I kind of wish they started this one sooner than it did because it seems as though when you read the series, all the series did was set up a mini-series. which later launched the X-Men Red series, which got ended after like 11 issues. Which I haven't read the second. I haven't reviewed the second trade, but I'm planning to review that soon. But this series is great overall, and the only thing that, like I mentioned before when I reviewed the first trade, of course I reviewed the last episode, excuse me, and they listed, some idiot online, I'm not sure who did this, list this series as like one of those extreme feminist series. They list this series along with Miss America and Hawkeye. There were a few others. America basically ran what deserves to go on that list because of how terrible that series was. Jean Grey and Hawkeye had no business being on the list at all because there's no extreme feminist ideas or their stupid like dialogue that some extreme feminists like to write in here. This is not technically written by the extreme feminists. Not that I can think. I don't think Dennis Hopeless really isn't. I mean, from what I can tell, reading this series, it seems like Hopeless basically just cared about telling a good story, then just trying to spread some stupid message about extreme feminism. That's just my opinion about it. Yeah. And this series overall was really good. My only slight criticism against the series is that this series was apparently the only series featuring Illyana Rasputin, Colossus' sister, a character who's a part of the X-Men lineup since Nation X. Yeah, that's why since the schism happened. Like, she's part of the lineup since that particular point. She was part of the X-Men lineup for 7 years. And then for some strange reason, like, okay, let's have her not part of the main lineup for some strange reason. Like, not put her on a team. Just put her as a supporting character in Jean Grey's book for some reason. Even though these two, I mean, yes, they've interacted with each other before in the All New X-Men. Matter of fact, they actually reference All New X-Men here. The Bendis run. But yeah, why this book makes no freaking sense. Another thing would probably turn people off in this series, in my opinion, was not the extreme feminist. I think that was basically dumb. I think because most of the issues was simply Jean Grey team with because this series, for some people, they probably saw this just as a team-up series. Also, you at least got to praise the fact this series actually did something with Hope Summers. Because Hope Summers has done nothing since the X-Force series ended. The one Cy Spurrier did. Yeah, this series was the first time she actually featured in a physical comic book. Yeah, when this came out a couple years ago, this was her first print in 2 years. Yes. And she's still doing the same stuff. And surprisingly, Cable does not show up in this series. Which I'm thinking, okay, you have Jean Grey's daughter show up in the series, but not her stepson? Yeah, I thought that was kind of weird. Why wouldn't you have Cable in this series? Cable is kind of considered to be Jean Grey's son due to the fact that Madeline Pryor was her clone. Yes. But surprisingly, he's mentioned by Hope Summers, mentioned a couple times in the series, but no appearance by him. That's the only slight thing I have against the series. But I do like the fact she got a chance to work with in some issues with Thor, like Scarlet Witch, and like anybody associated with the Phoenix. And surprisingly, Cyclops himself, not even the kid Cyclops, I think he showed up toward the end of issue 11, but he was absent for most of the series. Mm-hmm. But this series is utterly fantastic. I highly recommend if you are fans of the X-Men franchise. Next up, we're going to some Superman. Mainly Brian Michael Bendis as Superman. This is Superman Action Comics, Volume 2, Leviathan Rises. Yes, that's seriously the name of this book. Now, Leviathan Rising. Now, the whole point of this storyline is to set up a miniseries. That's not a joke. That's seriously the whole point of this particular set of issues. This collects Action Comics 1007 to 1011 and stories from the Superman Leviathan Rising special. Yep. Now, the artwork in this book is mainly done by Steve Epictek, and I gotta hand it to him. The guy is one damn good artist. Though he's not the only artist, he's basically the artist on the Action Comics issues. I believe he does the cover as well. This is a great cover. And when I saw this cover, I'm like, this cover looks vaguely familiar. Like, yes. Like, I knew exactly where this cover is homage to. This is homage to the very first Hulk annual that came out in the 70s. Yeah, the very same style cover. Heck, even Hercules had a homage to this at the start of his series when Incredible Hulk was retitled to cover Hercules with issue 113. They used this very same cover. Yeah, it's a great homage, and I'm not surprised that they did this for Superman, but because he's known for doing stuff like this, lifting stuff. Mm-hmm. Now, what the heck is Leviathan? Leviathan is something from Grant Morrison. Yep, but here's kind of the weird thing about Leviathan. Leviathan is revealed in these issues. Now, we all see appearances in here. Before I get to Leviathan, we see appearances from Tiger from the Grayson series. Yeah, he makes his first appearance since that series ended. Actually, he did make an appearance before this in Batgirl and Birds of Prey. That was his last appearance prior to the storyline. We also see Bones. Yes. Yeah, making his first appearance since the end of the Steve Orlando run for Supergirl. Yeah, she's referencing here. She makes this cameo. I'm trying to think, who else? Waller pops up in here. A character who has had barely interaction with Superman over the years. I mean, she has more interaction with Batman than she does with Superman. And making Superman doing spy stuff, I'm like, that's something original. I never expected Bendis to do that when I was reading these issues. And we also see that apparently that General Lane gets attacked and he gets put in the hospital. Well, indirectly by Amanda Waller. Oh, and the Fortress of Solitude is now in the Bermuda Triangle for some reason. I think because the original fortress was destroyed, or that he moved it. I'm not really sure why. Mm-hmm. And basically, Argus, despite the fact being mentioned here many times, they mentioned that Waller is the head of Argus, which, okay, that makes no sense. Because that contract's something that was done by, I think it was Matt Knott at the end of Just Like America. You see, Steve Trevor got back control of Argus after the events of Forever Evil, and he's been in charge of the organization since then. And then here, Waller is in charge of it again. Never explained. Yeah. Oh yeah, this ain't Checkmate's in here? Nope, Checkmate does not make a physical appearance as I appear on the cover. But here's kind of the interesting, how this issue opened, how the first issue opens, is Jimmy Olsen on a date with a beautiful woman who was revealed to be a member of Cobra. Yes, DC's Cobra. Not G.I. Joe's Cobra, DC's Cobra. And, like, oh yeah, lizard people. Even, yeah, that's kind of implied about them. But they barely are showing lizard traits over the years. And then, like, they use the usual chants they usually normally do. Now here's the thing. Cobra was created by Jack Kirby, who wrote Cobra to be like DC's Hydra. Yeah, that's just these people. And then their headquarters gets blown up and is referred to as the Cobra Cult Massacre. Yep, they're taken out. The CEO is taken out by some mysterious giant individual whose basically shape looks a lot like Atomic Skull, even though it's never confirmed with Atomic Skull. Yeah. Spyro, of course, Huntress does make an appearance here. Spyro, apparently no one's in charge of the organization anymore. Because and basically Tiger got in contact with Superman, who basically did something interesting though. Because apparently the leaders of Spyro abandoned them. He's like, screw them, I'm giving all our secrets to Superman and have them publish them. Yep. Now Spyro, of course, like with Tiger, was last seen briefly in the pages of Batgirl and Birds of Prey for like one issue. But it's the first time they've done something this big since the Grayson series, because it seemed as though that this particular organization has been, even though they're creation of Grant Morrison, by the way. Yeah, they're like the only basically spy organization created by them. Like, this particular group, like, has not played a major role in DC Universe in the past several years. Yep. And Leviathan. Let's talk about Leviathan. And people talk about Leviathan like, oh, it's headed by Talia al Ghul. And it's revealed that, nope, despite the fact she did start this organization in the pages of Batman Inc., she's not in charge of it anymore. Nope. She was overthrown by this new Leviathan character. Who this guy is, I would not spoil who this guy is because they actually revealed this guy's name in the last issue of the Leviathan series. I know people probably have read the Leviathan series. I've read it. It's an amazing title. That was like one misstep issue, but it was a great miniseries. And who this guy is will shock you. It's a character probably a lot of people never expect to be Leviathan. And also we have a brief thing with Red Cloud appears in here. Yeah, her and her mother. And we see briefly the car from Action Comics 1 appear in here. And like there's no follow up to the fact, oh yeah, it was real that oh yeah, she owns Daily Planet now. Nothing is done with that. Nothing. It's like Bendis basically probably heard rumors, at least rumblings, about how people basically didn't like the first story arc very much. So he's like, okay, I'm gonna speed my mini series quickly by introducing a storyline in the pages of Action Comics to set up that particular storyline. Yep. And aside from that, this is really good. And I even like the fact that apparently Superman mentioned that he actually has interviewed he's actually interviewed like, oh hi Talia, I did interview your father. It was very unpleasant. I'm like, okay, when the heck did Clark Kent do an interview with international terrorist Ra's al Ghul? Yeah, they only mention him. Of course, they'll mention the fact that Talia, like, hey, like when Lois meets up with her, like, hey, you're the mother of my son's best friend. Or I'm surprised some people would say, hey, Talia, you're smoking hot. And Damien's very lucky to have you as mom. Despite the fact at times she was not a very good mother anyways. Yeah. But this, like, unlike the first story arc, which wasn't all that good, this one was a lot better, exciting, interesting, and I even love the fact we have the Question appear in here. Yes, the Question. We also see the return of Kate Spencer for the first time since Ben Percy's one for Green Arrow. And I at least gotta appreciate Bennett. Thank you, Bennett, for doing this. We have her back in the Manhunter costume. Awesome. Love it. I love the fact she's back in the Manhunter costume. Yeah. Oh, yeah, and they also mentioned that Batman's gone missing for some reason. I mean, does this tie into City of Bane? Not really, no. This is before City of Bane. Yeah. We also get a chance to see something. I love the fact that Bendis threw this in. A brief battle where Superman's beating the crap out of Mongol. Who knew that he'd bring in a classic Superman villain like frickin' Mongol? Yeah. This book is great. Give this book a 9.5 out of 10. Utterly fantastic. Also, here's some Steve Epitech cover artwork. Yeah, the guy is one damn good artist. As for Leviathan Rises one-shot, it's just mostly, that's where the whole Clark Kent interview, and this has a mild follow-up with what happened with Leviathan Strikes. Now, basically, Red Cloud's mother, who's going to be a new reporter in here, Robinson Goody, she doesn't do much of anything in the storyline, and she plays a minor role aside from the fact that her mother's new owner of the Daily Planet. It's never played up. Apparently, she's working with Leviathan for some strange reason. She meets up with Leviathan, but she's using the camouflage. The guy's using the camouflage face thing to hide who he is, which basically he's still spiral tech, except he's using it not to basically make his face blurry, but just to disguise himself, which is classic spy stuff. Yeah. I'm surprised Bendis basically gave spy stuff to Superman of all people. I mean, Batman makes a lot more sense than frickin' Superman. Probably because as a reporter, he can actually do this, and plus he's good at it. And apparently Waller knows Superman's secret identity. And also in the storyline, Lois reveals to her father that her husband is Superman and the father of his only grandchild. He doesn't say anything about it. He just... seems like that by the expression, it seems like he accepts it because she loves him. Like, okay, you love him, and she's like, we should have this conversation before I got married. Yeah. But this storyline is fantastic, in my opinion. Oh yeah, there's also Jim Harper appears in this storyline. Briefly, it's like, oh yeah, are you part of the Invisible Mafia? And the guy who basically is talking to him, which I think is supposed to be Leviathan, is like, no, I have nothing to do with the Invisible Mafia at all. That has nothing to do with me. Nope, that's Red Cloud. Yeah, a character who is not interesting at all, despite the fact that Scott Snyder did feature her in the final issue of his run for Justice League as joining the Legion of Doom along with Leviathan, which I'm not going to spoil who that is. People might spoil it in the comments below, but I'm not going to spoil it. Yeah, and so pretty much I can't wait to get my hands on the Aero Superman trend that came out, which is Volume 2 of the main Superman run. I'll probably get my hands on that probably next time I go to Barnes & Noble. But yeah, that's it for this particular review. I have roughly about 3 more videos coming today. Reviews for Baruto, new chapter for Demon Slayer, and the first one for Trigun. Okay? See you next view. Bye.